Okay, so everything's been kind of heavy lately in all these videos I've been doing, but I keep seeing the humor in there, and it's hard not to say it sometimes. Got my dog sitting inside. If I come out here and talk while she's out here, she gets funny. She likes to play and stuff, and I get distracted. So I wish this camera could pick up the night sky on video. The still camera does great. You can see stars in video. Actually, kind of looking west, and I was thinking about, and I didn't want to mention names or anything, but I had uncles and we'd be out in places. Well, when I was about my oldest son's age, we went out to Stillwaters and I got to be out there for the first time, like be out there. We camped in an old corral in a ranch up in one of the canyons. And the corral, the bottom of it's real soft because it's old, the old manure is grown over with sod and grass. It's real soft. And so they had all these stories. A couple times we went, all these stories. And they always talked about this one guy named Kudatsu. And I never could figure out who he was, but he was some guy they worked with or some cousin or something. But they had all these other people they talked about, but they always kind of came around to that one guy. I'm not going to say his name anymore, but they kept coming around to him in these stories. So I've kind of been using him as a proxy in a few stories that I've been trying to remember, to where it's just funny stuff that happens. There's nothing even relevant, except for he had stories for all the constellations. And it was interesting because they were all these beings. They weren't all good. They were all cousins. And they all kind of fought all the time, or they all kind of did good all the time. And you went back and forth, as sometimes cousins do. But sometimes those cousins would come down, so they would see that falling star, whoosh, and everybody kind of start looking around. That means something came to Earth. And they were aware of this, okay? Even if it was just dust, something new added to the Earth. And that means one of the cousins is coming down to see what it can stir up here on Earth. See the light on here. Have lights on in the front for the time being. At night, I kind of check in. Sorry, it's distracted. It's cold. Anyways, so he had all these mythologies for all these, and they must have told me 20 or 30 of them. And they couldn't tell me all in English because a lot of them didn't have English translation or concept. So it kind of sucked to hear, oh man, we really missed out on this mythology. But it was funny to remember about all these cousins and how they had these little battles all the time, and how they're always at each other, or when they go do really good things together, and then there's always someone behind the scenes kind of, getting their fingers in where it's not supposed to be, and just kind of crazy stuff. And it's like, did he have actual mythologies, or were they just telling their stories about their communities? Cousins come together, talk smack about everybody. You never know what it was. But as I sit and I would, supposed to be going to sleep, I hear him talking, and then I hear my memories. Man, what is that in my memories? And hearing them talking, the inflection, and them laughing, I'm trying not to laugh too loud, but man, they echo up. Indians can't laugh quiet. Echoing in all the canyons, not being real quiet, not a cold camp. But everybody was good and everybody was happy, and they wake you up in the morning, it's real cold, just like right now. I'm sitting here shivering. Like, you get out of your sleeping bag for a moment, you're already shivering. And you look up, and it's like, it's still dark, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? Uncle, Grandpa, whoever it is, why are you waking me up? And they say, oh, the sun's going to come up. We got to get up there now. You look around, it's like, that's the moon. What are you talking about, sun? No, the sun's going to come up. We got to get up there now. It's like, all right, so you get up, and you don't want to go pee because you're gonna get real cold. But if you don't go pee, you're gonna pee on yourself when you're walking up the hill, half in the dark. And you get up there, and you're like, well, we gotta be real quiet. You gotta be real quiet. They don't say nothing after a certain point in time. They go to sleep. Try not to snore too loud, because they finally took me up there to hunt kidu, to hunt the groundhog. So we were up there early. I don't know how early. And it had to have been May, June time, because it took a little while to warm up. I remember we went up there, and there was a mixture of flowers. Not all of them yet, just a mixture of yellows and reds. No blues or purples yet. I'm not sure why. You think the blues and purples like the cold, but or maybe it had already warmed up enough that oh, maybe it was. Maybe it had already warmed up enough that they had the warm color flowers already. So my fat fingers strike again. Anyways, yeah, so maybe it had actually warmed up enough. They realized it was warm enough. And I know something down in the valley, they looked up there and said, well, it's time to go up. So we went up. And yeah, it was real early. It looked like this in the morning. Like, what are you talking about? Go up there. Like crazy uncles, I don't know what they did in their youth, but man, those, even as old men, they still do it. I have a few of them that still go out there, still chop the wood, still brave the rattlesnakes to go get pine nuts and berries, and tough old people still, and I love it. I'm glad they're still around. And it's trying not to get too heavy and saying, I hate the idea of missing them when it happens, whether immediately because of issues we have socially right now or at all. It's just our loss. Again, we lost a bunch of stuff and we don't have a way to get it back. But I'm not really too worried about it. Again, it's not the end. It's just kind of it's a transition to a different time, a different place, and a different people. We're trying to adapt right now, and it's not a bad thing. It was going to have to happen eventually. It just happened all of a sudden. And a lot of the things I've been putting in line have been like that, where it's not exactly, I've had a timeline set where I had goals within the next 2 years to start this stuff. And it's not that I'm exploiting the crisis, it's that maybe I'm saying something that people haven't heard for a very long time, or had reassurances or an understanding that people have needed for a really long time. Something simple like that. It's not anything life-changing that anybody needs to grab onto, but has been a part of my change of life. And it's been an interesting time observing so long and finally being able to report back to say these are the things I've seen, and this is the time that I've seen it in, and how that works. And it's not, you can really not call it mystical if you don't want to, because it's really, you can explain it with a little bit of science and just how our mind computes things, computes all the input that we have. And we've done that, and especially, again, for people who've been outside of this system in recent generations, tend to have that in much stronger manners because they've been tied to the earth longer. As long as they can kind of stick to the earth and be in their element, they can continue to glean information in that old way because they're genetically tied to it. And it makes sense. You see it in animals that you breed. Why don't you see it in the humans? And understand that we took these people out of their elements and subjected them to something that is not only otherworldly, but ungodly, unseemly, impolite. And, I don't mean to go there again. I don't want to, but that's how it happens. Is now that, more people are finding a dusty road, that's what's going to happen. And it's not prophesizing anything, that's just how it works. So I want to kind of reinforce how important our elders have been. And the moment they said that it's been affecting mostly elderly people was the moment you heard all of Indian country gasp, because it's not that we have plenty of the other population, it's that we don't have a lot of elders left. And certain parts of them, certain parts of their population are in a rapid decline for one reason or another, and a lot of exposure to things that they did not need to be exposed to. Sometimes if I don't let her out, she'll go crazy. Come on. I know it's cold. Come on. If you don't want out, don't come out. She wants to be an assistant. She can endure the cold. She worries about me though. That's why she wants to come out. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. You know, just my little evening thoughts. And I'm not trying to get down or deep, but those are the connections. That's how important those memories are. There's still things up there I need to go find. Things we left intentionally. And I hope we have the time to do it, and the space and the transportation to do it sometime. To hope that we can get up there before perhaps more encroachment on public land for the Department of Defense, or perhaps at some point mining or quote unquote green energy. At some point in time, they're going to find what they need up there, and they're going to pull it, and we won't, again, we'll be missing another notch. And it's hard to lose those things without stating to other people, it's not about us anymore. Our time has passed. It's about you now, because apparently this is supposed to be your land. And this is what they're doing with it. So, you know, I hope that's not too deep. I'm going to actually share this platform wide tonight, just to see what the organic reach is. I don't promote my stuff. I really barely even share it. If it's stuff that interests you, that might interest other people, I'm trying to find groups that are interested in this sort of thing, and not in the terms of exploiting it, but just gaining the understanding. So if you find places that you think this is appropriate, sometimes my language does get a little rough, and other times I just, you know, it's not that I'm out of it, it's just that I'm kind of in the element out there, and things fire differently when you're out there. When you're in the dust of the place of your people, it changes you, and you have those mixtures of elements, and they influence you in those ways. And if you get into these areas and you're in there long enough, like our people now that come out here, that's why you see more people around this hill, is because they've been here long enough and breathed the dust long enough and understood the pressures of how this place works, that they can go out there and they're acclimated pretty quick. And a lot of people don't understand how quickly you need to acclimate in the Great Basin, or you don't make it. It's a pretty interesting, again, you get into a lot of lines of study just talking about one thing or another. So I'm going to stop rambling. I got to get inside. It's getting cold. And, you know, let me finish. I had the 2 videos earlier. I'll do this and see if I can do it in a minute. I had 2 videos earlier, and I talked about my grandpa and a string of things, and that big cottonwood tree that I was talking about, the mountain lion that it was in it, at one point in time when he was young, he was in that tree and fell out of it, that big giant cottonwood tree. And that's adjacent to one big poplar that was struck by lightning and smacked in half. It was a pretty cool tree that stood for a really long time. And the other story was, well, to reinforce that, his name that the people gave him was Lion Man. So it was a real kind of a hard situation when that happened. And then what was the other thing? There's no goodbye. You know, remember, if you watch the other stuff, I didn't want to do the Hollywood Indian, you know, there's no word for goodbye in my language. Well, there's always something. But in our language, it wasn't a goodbye. It was like, it's always a see you later. So when you say Punidua, that's what you're saying. So see you later. And when you think about the range of ways you use that, it's, you know, heartbreaking and heart building at the same time. Punidua. Punidua. That's how the old ladies used to say it. Real soft. Punidua. And it wasn't goodbye. It was, hey, I'll see you later. And that's how it always, you know, was always left. So just think about that. I'm doubting anybody's following the continuity of these videos very well, because again, I'm not posting them cross-platform very well. You know, I'm going to try and fix that soon with the YouTube channel. So good night. Konnichiwa.